This is no longer just Minecraft. It's a completely new game, with new enemies, bosses, items, weapons, and mechanics. In this video, I'll be surviving 100 days in a hardcore Minecraft world with over 400 mods that add a ton of new content to the game. To make your viewing experience enjoyable, the mod pack includes high-quality textures and shaders, and the video is recorded in 4K resolution. I don't know much about the mods in this pack, so my survival will be very challenging. I'll be moving slowly and cautiously because I have no room for mistakes. I only have one life. Thanks to the legendary Survival Overhaul mod, the game now allows you to break your limbs, which will need special bandages to heal. And there's also a thirst meter that caused me to die quite often in the early days. Temperature was added as well, so I'll have to watch out for heat stroke or freezing to death. There are many new creatures, and almost all of them can kill me easily. And that's just a small part of what makes this playthrough interesting. So, let's begin the toughest first day in this harsh world. All you need to do is like and subscribe to the video. Enjoy watching.
The first thing that greets us on the first day is the beauty of this world. I was given some starting items and a few books, which I'll figure out later. First thing I did was gather some sand for bottles and some wood. In the distance, I saw a tower in a lake. I'll head there later. Collected some food and earned my first skill point. I have a huge skill tree that I can upgrade using skill points. The first thing I did was increase my damage by 10%. Made stone tools and a furnace. First, I smelted some glass to make bottles and collect water, which I then had to boil in the furnace to drink clean water without getting poisoned. While I was swimming toward the tower, I got cold and started getting hungrier. On the first floor of the tower, there was a bed and a few bookshelves, which I collected. At the very top, I realized it was a non-working lighthouse. When I started going down, I saw a chest I had missed. Inside was some kind of treasure map. Tried to kill a crab with a coconut-shaped shell, but when I broke it, it ran away and I got some coconuts. Made a few bottles and gathered a lot of water, but managed to purify only one bottle and finally had a drink. Night fell, and I just wanted to sleep through it. But suddenly a skeleton showed up and changed my plans. I had to dig myself underground and wait until morning because I had left the furnace and wood on the surface, and I couldn't dig anywhere else because I was surrounded by sand. In the morning of the second day, I went outside and looked around. There didn't seem to be any enemies. I started boiling water and cooking food to prepare for a journey, used another bandage to heal up, gathered some mini watermelons which could be turned into 3 slices each, ate a mushroom I found on a rotten stump, and it made me really sick. Harvested some pumpkins, maybe they'll come in handy someday. Killed a few cows and donkeys to get leather, which I'd need for a water canteen. I got 2 skill points and spent them on increasing my max health. Now I'll feel a lot more confident. Night began, so I decided to dig underground to mine a bit and hopefully find some coal, as well as check out a few crafting recipes. Some guy named Sir Jank Quakington appeared with thunder, looked like a tough enemy. As dawn broke, I decided to head back outside. I was met by terrifying creatures, one of them being a fast, strong zombie. He nearly killed me, so I had to run away to heal. I kept hitting him for a long time. Clearly not a regular zombie, must have been Sir Jank Quakington, but after killing him, I didn't get anything valuable. Wanted to check out the lighthouse near the water tower. Turned out it was just a ladder, and a scary one to climb. In the end, I spent a lot of time getting to the top, but there was nothing up there. Still, the view was incredible, and I spotted some kind of castle. Blew up my first creeper and got some bones from it, and I had seen a few wolves nearby. Surprisingly, I managed to tame 2 wolves on the first try, and thanks to an achievement reward that gave me a few more bones, I tamed a 3rd. Now traveling would be safer. Unfortunately, I couldn't tame a 4th wolf. I reached the castle, but it turned out to be hostile, so I had to run. Something heavy hit me from behind, and if I didn't have that much health, I would have died. An archer kept chasing us, so I had to kill him. Night came, and I decided to sleep to skip it, but mobs nearby wouldn't let me. I had to go a bit lower to finally end the 3rd day. In the morning, I started heading outside and was greeted by a creeper. Decided to gather more leather and meat and broke my sword. Spent another skill point. Started looking for a place to build a temporary house and base and saw a tower in the distance. Climbing up there wasn't easy, so I decided to just push through. There wasn't anything particularly interesting in the chest at the top, but I did see a few more structures in the distance. While I was climbing down, my wolf tried to take a shortcut and jumped off the tower, but unfortunately, it didn't go well for him. I decided to head back to find a spot for a house because the biomes ahead looked dangerous. Came across some kind of monument and activated it. It seemed like a portal. If I find another one, I might be able to teleport between them. Night fell, and I dug into the ground to sleep until morning. Killed a spider for some string. I found a strange, small structure, but I couldn't break the block in the middle with a stone pickaxe. Eventually, I found a place for my house. It wasn't perfect, but I needed at least some space where I could store my stuff and sleep peacefully. So I started building a foundation. A third burning zombie had already tried to visit me, so I decided to check where they were coming from. Turned out I was building the house near a cave, which isn't ideal, but for now, I just lit it up a bit. Maybe I'll seal it off later. Placed a chest to store my stuff and set up a furnace to cook some meat. I lost 1 heart of health, and the speed boost buff I had since the beginning of the game disappeared. I thought it was because night had started. I dug into the ground to sleep through the night, but it turned out I didn't have a bed. I thought it was in the chest and dug back to it, but it wasn't there. Looks like I forgot to take it from the last place I slept. I had wool, but no wood to craft a new bed, so I'd have to endure this night. There were already enemies waiting for me up top, and I had no idea how I'd get out in the morning. Decided to dig down a bit, but broke my pickaxe. Then I tried to kill a few zombies and broke a block under a zombie boss, but there was also a baby zombie that nearly killed me. Now I was completely trapped, and I had no idea what to do next. Morning was coming, and a few zombies burned, though that didn't make things any easier for me. Started digging a tunnel away from the house where there was a big cluster of monsters, but they began to follow me, and when I broke a block on the outside, a mini-boss fell down on me, killed him, and I realized how to get out of there. Then I killed another strong zombie, and after that I had to kill a bunch of creepers. Once the number of enemies went down, I started heading outside and killed the remaining creepers, although they mostly blew themselves up, and even killed one of my wolves. I didn't really feel bad about that, since he wasn't helping me kill creepers anyway. Now I needed to seal off all the tunnels so that monsters wouldn't spawn there anymore. Crafted another bed, and for now, I'll carry it with me. While I was gathering dirt to seal the tunnels, I heard strange music nearby, and when I turned around, I saw a crazy musical zombie running at me. I ran away immediately and built a pillar. It took a while to kill him, but it was worth it. He dropped an iron backpack with some kind of upgrade. Now I won't have to craft one myself. Once again, I didn't manage to finish the house because I spent all 10 minutes dealing with the aftermath of the previous night, so I had to dig underground again to sleep until morning. Killed a regular spider, and it dropped an unusual iron axe. I had 2 skill points saved up, so I upgraded my damage and health. I nearly died from a blue spider, but I managed to kill it. I ate some meat and got the speed boost buff again, along with a couple of extra hearts. Then I killed 2 more blue spiders, put on a chainmail chestplate I had gotten from some zombie boss from a previous night, and it gave me 1 more heart. I still didn't have time to finish the house, even though the walls were almost done. Turned out the iron helmet I had in my inventory was better than the one I was wearing, and it gave me 2 more hearts. I dug into the ground again to sleep, but a message in the chat ruined my plans. A blood moon had started with terrifying sounds. Of course, I tried to sleep, but this night it was impossible, so I had no choice but to wait until morning. In the morning, I had to find a way to get outside, so I dug a tunnel just above the surface to carefully kill everyone. One of the enemies was an undead knight and some kind of dwarf witch. I was having issues with thirst, so I immediately ran to drink water from the ocean. A new shield dropped from a skeleton, better than my old one. A creeper dropped a gem on the warlord, and I have no idea what it is or where to use it. Remembered my dog, and apparently it got stuck and has been standing there for several days. I finished building the house frame, and now only the roof was left. Luckily, I managed to finish the roof, and the final exterior touch was a staircase in front of the entrance. Placed a few more lamps inside the house. Of course, I couldn't sleep because of the monsters nearby, so I had to dig myself underground again. On day 9, some guests were already waiting for me outside. I carefully killed a skeleton and got a good bow. Arranged the interior of the house and placed a second chest to store items. Carefully killed the remaining mobs around the house. Unfortunately, 1 creeper did explode near the house, but aside from the glass, it didn't do any serious damage. Crafted a batch of torches and started placing them around the house. Hopefully, that'll help me sleep at night in the house instead of underground. Some mob dropped new iron pants. Made some healing herbs to heal my broken body parts. Since I still can't make a bandage, I don't have any wool. I spent 2 more skill points, and I started thinking, I've been going down the warrior branch in the skill tree, but there's also an archer and a mage, and magic caught my interest. Checked what kinds of staves there are, and for now, I can't make any. I'm not even sure if just 1 staff will be enough, or if I'll need other spells too. Night came, and I finally managed to peacefully go to sleep in my own house. Tried to hit a bison and it sent me flying into space, but then I got my revenge on it. It was time to run through caves and gather lots of needed resources, but the problem is that every trip into a cave could be the last one. It's way too dangerous here. Killed a firefly and ate some kind of mixture that gave me a buff to attack and mining speed. A trader with llamas came to me, but he had nothing interesting, so I killed him and the llamas to get a leash. Made a tool that can extract fossils from certain blocks. I'll deal with that later. Made an iron pickaxe to go into the mine. Gathered coal, and local villagers came to me. After killing one of the zombies, I got a new iron pickaxe. Got a skill point and unlocked a new skill that gives a chance to summon a sword from the sky, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. Killed a mob with a bow and got another gem from it. Now I know what they do. They improve armor and tools, but I need a special table for that. The caves near me are too small, so I returned home, where I killed a few idiots bothering me from sleeping, and of course, ended another day. Tried to mine that block in the strange structure, but even with an iron pickaxe, I didn't get anything. Went back to the cave and mined some kind of magnetite block. Found new ore, thorium, but haven't figured out how to use it yet. Gathered some amethysts and returned to the surface. Thorium is probably used in a mod that adds various complex machines, which I'm too lazy to figure out. I'd rather go kill dragons. The day ended, and it was pretty boring. The next day, I made the simplest magic staff from coal and a stick, but to use it, I needed fire runes. I crafted these runes from cobblestone and coal. I had to spend 5 projectiles to kill a peacock and 3 projectiles to kill a lizard. I definitely won't be using this staff, though the mechanic is interesting. I filled bottles with water, but remembered I had long planned to make a water canteen. I collected water from the ocean and disinfected the canteen with water in the furnace. Now, quenching thirst will be easier. When night began, mobs started gathering near my house, and I had to fight them off for a long time, but in the end, I managed to go to sleep. The next day, unexpectedly, an event started, and I received a message that the undead army was approaching. A progress bar for the first wave appeared at the top of the screen, and through the window, I saw a large army of zombies and skeletons quickly coming toward me. I made a hole in the wall of the house and started fighting them, but a zombie got inside, and I got really scared, preparing for death, but I managed to kill it. Then I made a big mistake and broke 1 extra block, which let the enemies into my house, and I had to run away. I killed the last mob of the first wave, but that wasn't the end. The second wave began, and now there were even more enemies. I got through the second wave without problems, only had to go outside to finish off the last skeleton. The third wave began, and this time, along with many mobs, a boss appeared. I killed all the regular mobs, then found the boss, a big skeleton, whom I also killed, and the event ended there. For the victory, I got a treasure pouch, and opening it gave me many different items. What interested me most was the soul jar. I didn't know what to do with it. I went to a cave where there were many mobs, but creepers blew them all up. The mob that interested me most had a red name, Marsali, but she died easily and I don't think I got anything from her. I crafted iron gloves and placed them in the accessory slot, which gives me a bit more damage. The day was interesting, but it was time to end it. The morning of day 14 started with clearing my yard of undead. I found out what the soul jar I got from the treasure pouch is for. It turns out if I hold this jar in my offhand, its effects will apply to me, and each jar has different effects. After several days of fierce battles, I had accumulated 4 skill points. After much thought, I decided to learn a skill that would make me a berserker, although it's probably better to be an archer or mage, but I don't know how to reset the skill tree. I also unlocked another skill tree, much smaller and related only to the Berserk class. I decided my life was too boring and made a boat. I set off for the ship that had interested me ever since I arrived here, but I was afraid of the ocean because I was sure there were many dangerous creatures and I wouldn't be able to escape or fight. When I approached the ship, it turned out to be pirates. And at that moment, a snake attacked me, which scared me badly, and I just started running toward the nearest land. But I didn't feel any better, so I sailed to Dragon Island, and somehow I gathered courage and decided to shoot an arrow at the dragon. But then I realized it was better to run away. The dragon chased me for a long time, but that wasn't the worst part. At one point, I almost turned gray because my character just got off the boat and walked away on his own. It turned out I was summoned by a damn mermaid. Then she chased me, and I was ready to die, but luckily I managed to get back to the boat and ran as fast as I could to the shore and my home. After that, I'm not likely to want to explore the ocean anytime soon. I ran around a bit near the house before going to sleep. Then I decided to look at the special Berserker armor, and I was a bit shocked because the armor set requires a lot of netherite scraps, and I think I chose the wrong class. There was, of course, a warrior set, but it's much weaker than the armor I'm wearing now. Next time, I was sure that making the warrior set wasn't a good idea, but I still crafted the boots because my old ones broke, and these boots give a good damage boost. After the previous day, I decided to take a little break and made myself an iron fishing rod. I decided to spend this day fishing. All that was missing was beer and music. Then I saw some guy in the water. I killed him with the third arrow. He dropped some kind of spear. It was a two-handed weapon and could also be thrown. I caught a lockbox. When I opened it, a compass fell out. I spent the rest of the day fishing, and the catch wasn't very big, but this mod pack has much more interesting stuff related to fishing, so I'll come back to this topic later. I made an iron shield from an RPG mod, hope it will be better than my old one. Then, unexpectedly, went to the cave. I didn't want to go here until the last minute, because most of my hardcore adventures ended here. But now I have enough health and armor, so I need to take a risk. Found some camp, there were clay pots, and a chest with things, the most useful of which were iron leggings that added 4 hearts to health and many other buffs. Also took the anvil with me. So far, mined all the ores I came across and killed all the monsters on the way without problems. Was lucky with the cave, and there was an even lower descent. Some atomic creeper exploded near me, setting fire to several blocks. Spent that night in the cave, so didn't have to sleep for the first time in a long time. Went down even deeper, and 2 creepers were waiting for me there. I shot them down with a bow. On the way, there were more pots with trash. Here, I hit a dead end. The cave doesn't go lower, so I was already planning to head outside. But that wasn't the end yet. I accidentally found another passage to big and long caves. Ahead was a huge cave, and I thought about going back to explore the dead ends behind me, and then return. But later, I might get lost. Then, a very dangerous moment happened when a skeleton first cornered me, and then a creeper approached, exploded, and for some reason my shield didn't block the damage, so I had to fight off 2 skeletons at once. A few seconds later, another creeper came to me. Ahead was another big cave with its own branches. Night came, and the Harvest Moon event started. Many more monsters would spawn this night, and considering I'm in a confined space, it could be dangerous, so I just decided to sleep through the night. The next day, I continued digging in the cave. Then I played tag with a small zombie. And finally, I found a huge cave full of mobs. I had to fight off a crowd of half-dead idiots for a long time, and I accidentally hit or looked at an Enderman, so I had to run away and bury myself a little so it wouldn't get me. In the end, I killed them all, but my health was less than half. I ran out of food, and unfortunately, because of that, I had to get out. I started digging upwards toward the surface, but I remembered this place and will come back later. At the surface, a plague doctor was waiting for me. Actually, a traitor added by the rat mod. I bought plague essence from him for emeralds that I got from pots. I placed a marker so I wouldn't forget where the cave was. Then I killed a cow and got another skill point. In the end, I spent 2 skill points on the main branch and 1 point on the Berserker branch. On the way home, I met my dog, whom I had long forgotten. I thought it was dead, but it turned out it was on guard mode, not following me. Returning home, I noticed I had some meat left. Too bad I didn't find it while in the cave. At night, while sorting items in chests, a creeper sneaked up behind me and blew me and my house to hell. I was, to say the least, shocked, but first I closed the door. I made a new shield because the old one barely survived the cave trip. My house was surrounded by so many mobs that my FPS started dropping, and I decided to kill them. Although the night was ending, I needed to sleep to heal my broken body parts. I heard a trader outside, and it was the plague doctor. I brought him all the rotten flesh and spider eyes to trade for emeralds. Then on the roof, I saw another wandering trader, but he didn't have any interesting offers. I made an automatic furnace since I had many resources to smelt after the mine. At night, a mini-boss with a blue name appeared, and I gathered courage and decided to go outside at night to attack him. But when I saw it was a skeleton, I immediately lost all courage and ran home. Mr. Ike somehow didn't want to come near my house, but in the end, he made a mistake, and I killed him, receiving a unique gem and a decent bow. Then I got quite bold and went on a mob genocide spree. I made a staff to tame rats, or at least I thought so, and went to tame rats. But of course I failed. But I did get a skull from a rat, just in case it might be useful. In the morning, a surprise was waiting for me at home, and then another surprise. I put on the iron chest plate that I got from someone at night and became even stronger. I will soon need many books and maybe sugar, so I made a temporary sugarcane farm. I patched the hole near the house and gathered some wood. In the skill tree, I unlocked a unique skill that gives a chance to block a hit if I have less than 15 armor. Only later did I realize this was a mistake. Then I waited for the night to have fun again. A blue boss appeared, and I sentenced him to death, but then unexpectedly saw a water monster at the cave entrance and killed it too for company. Then a charged creeper appeared, and killing it was no problem, but it dropped a strange item that adds a rat mod. Then a familiar message appeared in chat. 3 waves of mobs are coming at me again. I decided to honestly try to kill them all without hiding in the house. The biggest problem is the skeletons, which are hard to see, constantly run away and shoot me from all sides. I cleared the first wave, but was close to death myself. I ran home to heal and repair a couple of bones. I couldn't clear the second wave, had to run away and heal again, though a few mobs remained there. I also get very annoyed by FPS drops when many enemies are around me. Surprisingly, this part of the mod pack isn't optimized, even though I usually have around 110 FPS. The third wave was very difficult. I had to run into the house several times, plus my armor got damaged and some body parts broken. I healed a bit, repaired my bones, but they still got broken, and I went to finish the event, although it was rather finished by the morning sun. But this time, I didn't hide in the house and killed everyone through the hole. My house also got damaged. It was blown up twice. From the treasure bag, a soul jar dropped, which increased running speed, so I will take it in my left hand instead of the shield. From the scales of the water dragon, which somehow appeared in the cave at night, I can make very good armor and weapons, but I need more materials. I decided not to repair the house because I'm planning to look for a new place for a nice base. I plan to build a small castle, so I need a lot of stone bricks. The problem is that my bones are broken and I need to sleep, and I almost have no food left and I don't know where to get it. Until the end of the day, I dealt with food and other crafting, but finally I can sleep and recover. I noticed my sugarcane wasn't growing, and that puzzled me a lot. I remembered the watermelons I collected at the start of the game. I'll be eating those during the trip. On the way, I killed every animal I came across. I even killed those who could have killed me, although it's unlikely the bisons could do that. I remembered the skill tree. I already have 4 points, but I don't want to spend them yet. I'll figure out later what's best to upgrade. I killed quite a few bisons, so now I have enough meat for the rest of the game. I also tried to kill a grizzly, and it turned out he's stronger than other animals. I heard wolves, which meant it was time to take out the bones from my backpack that I carried specifically to tame a few friends. Reached the tower I found quite a while ago and took some blocks. Night was already falling, and I decided not to sleep because I was close to the castle where I could wait out the night. I didn't find the entrance but went into the stable where I took wheat and gathered items from a chest. Also, a creeper scared me pretty badly. It turned out there was a lever here to open the doors. I immediately started taking all useful items I could find. Then I met the first villager, and I could view his family tree and talk, which improved my relations with this people. I realized this was the kitchen and took several pots with me, collected items from chests, and found a library from which I planned to take some bookshelves. In the skill tree, I decided to learn Junction Ruby, but it seemed nothing changed. And in the Berserker skill tree, I chose the active skill Bloodthirsty, collected 3 stacks of books. I don't think I'll need that many, but let it be. In the chest, there was a book for increasing pet health. I met the first local trader to whom I sold 24 papers for 96 bronze coins. I used those coins and they were added to my wallet. Nearby, there was another wandering trader. A little higher, I found cages with a frog and a slime. I don't know why I need them, but I'll take them all. There were also many chests with valuable resources, but I had almost no space left, not even in my backpack, so I need to keep looking for a base location. Found a tower. On the way up, there were several gems, but at the top, there was nothing special. Now it's time to go home because ahead was a winter biome where I could freeze. Night began, and I decided to sleep underground to heal my body and safely get home. Of the pack of wolves I tamed, only one remained. Found another teleport, but unfortunately, it was close to the first one, so it was useless. Killed a few more bisons. Finally returned home and threw all the food into the furnace to cook, then started sorting items. 2 traders appeared near me at once, and one of them was new. I hadn't met such before. A message appeared in chat. The blue moon rises. I didn't understand what it meant. Did all my tasks and went to sleep. The next day, I started gathering a huge amount of cobblestone for the future base, and then, unexpectedly, this happened. I mined 8 stacks of cobblestone and sent it all to the furnaces. Then I needed a lot of spruce wood, and even though there was almost none nearby, I collected everything I could find. At night, a familiar message appeared in the chat, and I got unwanted plans for tomorrow. The undead army came to me again, and surprisingly, this time I killed them all, almost without problems. Maybe because the sun was helping me. There was only one moment when skeletons shot me, but I managed to kill them. Plus, my dog helped me. Even the boss didn't cause trouble, and I calmly defeated everyone. Though I regret the time spent, I plan to spend the rest of the day gathering spruce. It turns out there was a sign near me all this time, guiding me in a direction. Apparently, there's a village about 4,000 blocks away, but I plan to go on a trip that way anyway. I saw a siren near the shore and decided to kill her with a bow, but in the end, I got too close, and she enchanted me with her song, though I was able to resist it. Eventually, she came to me herself and died because of it. She dropped shiny scales, which can be used to craft weapons to enchant enemies. In the end, I gathered more than 2 stacks of spruce, but of course it won't be enough. I started gathering resources, mostly blocks needed for building the castle. Before moving, I wanted to check out the airships flying near me. In the water, I noticed a guy who decided to do a flip towards me. I killed him without problems. He didn't even fight back. As a reward, I got his weapon, which had a long attack range but was quite slow. Walking toward the airships, I saw a castle I should have visited a long time ago and decided to head there first. Knights met me here, and they hit quite hard. Also, cannons were positioned around the perimeter, which could kill with one shot, so I shot them down with a bow. I found the entrance to the fortress. On the stairs, I triggered a spike trap, but something happened, and I got several golden hearts, which allowed me to get out. Night was approaching, and my body was badly damaged, so I decided to sleep in a cave first. At the entrance, guards were waiting for me. At first, I couldn't find anything in the castle, so I was collecting lamps, but then I found the first chest and then the second. I broke an iron door and killed several knights. In one room, there was a stronger enemy, but he didn't attack me, so I decided to shoot him with a bow, and he came out to me. But for some reason, instead of fighting, he just started running away, which made it easy to kill him. He dropped a Valerian scepter, and it didn't seem like a weapon, so I don't know what to do with it. In the boss room, if it was a boss at all, there was a chest with diamonds, emeralds, and gold in large quantities. Then I found a second identical chest. I didn't expect to get my first diamonds this way. There was nothing else in the fortress, so I went to the airships. I approached the airships and started building a pillar out of dirt. On the first airship, there was a mini farm, and there wasn't much interesting in the chests. The second airship already had people and chests. In one of them was a hunter belt. I put it in the accessory slot. Also, when I held shift, a window opened showing an experience bar, level points, and some other buffs. I didn't understand anything. I'll need to figure out this mod later. All the people here were merchants, but none had interesting offers. In the captain's room, there was a chest with emeralds, and in another chest lay a trident. Under the deck, there were also chests. In one of them was another belt. I had no space left for new resources, but I didn't want to climb back here, so I'll have to find a way to fit everything. On the next airship, there was a person buying bones, and I decided to give him everything I had in exchange for silver coins. I found a teleport on this ship, which means I'll be able to teleport here later. I found a board with quests, and almost all of them were about bringing some dye, wool, or banners, but I took a quest to kill 4 creepers. I noticed that I had a level 2 thief debuff, and I understood it appeared because I was taking items from villagers, but I didn't know what it affected. Everyone could still trade and talk with me. I decided to sleep to heal broken body parts. The next airship looked rich, like it was carrying important people. There was almost nothing on the deck, only a sack with apples and honey that restored a lot of hunger. There was another teleport here. The most interesting part was below, a room where alchemical experiments were conducted, and we'll talk about that later. But the main thing was that I found the relic called Infinity Ham, and at that moment, I had no idea how awesome this item was. I realized I wouldn't be able to carry everything and had to return to the ground, where a trader immediately met me. I wanted to buy several zombie heads from him, but when I took emeralds out of my backpack, the trader simply disappeared, as if he teleported away with his llamas, leaving only 2 leads. Then I noticed the relic's icon had changed, which surprised me even more. I decided to check if I could make my own portals, and it turned out they're called called waystones. Yes, they can be crafted, but you need a warp stone for that, which means I'll have to kill several Endermen. On the way, I met an unusual trader who was selling a cannon and bombs. Finally, I returned home and started sorting my stuff. I decided to use the Infinity Ham, and it turned out to be infinite food that quickly restores hunger. Also, every time I eat the Infinity Ham, the relic gains experience and levels up to get different buffs. Night began, but it wasn't an ordinary one. The blood moon started, so I wouldn't be able to sleep. I remembered the quest to kill creepers and decided to start a mob genocide. Killed several Endermen. Because of the blood moon event, there were so many mobs that my FPS dropped significantly. At one point, I got stuck in a pit full of enemies and couldn't get out, so I decided to fight back. Eventually, I managed to escape, but I broke my sword, I ran home to recover, and on top of all the other problems, the army of idiots came to me as a message in the chat warned me. For some achievement, I received a strange red wool under the house. There were so many enemies that my FPS dropped to 15. I had to kill them all through a hole in the house. Fortunately, morning was already coming. All the mobs hid in the pit under my house, and I decided to hit them with the trident. I made several bandages to at least partially fix my broken bones. In the end, I killed the boss even before all the other mobs, and only finished the event when I found several skeletons under the trees. From the treasure bag, I got some interesting books. The trader who helped me fight off the zombie waves ran to my house, and I bought a sombrero from him, which can't be crafted, and this hat gives good heat resistance. I'm still amazed by the Infinity Ham. It's hard to believe it's just infinite food. So why did I gather so much food a few days ago? I returned to previous tasks, namely clearing the airships, and on the way to the portal, a charged creeper exploded and the blast was quite strong. Since two waystones were near each other, I decided to test if I could break one and use it for my own purposes, and it turned out yes. I'll take another waystone from an airship later. I completed the quest and got the promised reward. I went back to that very alchemy room and took the spellbinding table, which will allow me to make a book to use skills of the chosen class, specifically the Berserker. There was also an organ here with only 5 keys, and it's unlikely to make any hit song from that. I needed to sleep because almost all my bones were broken, and it's better to rest to recover them. I started making my way to the next airship. This ship can be called a flying library because there were tons of books here, and all the chests were full of enchanted books, and they barely fit into my inventory and backpack. There was also another trident, but it had no upgrades. I went home to put all the books away and also set a teleport point to be able to go back to the airship immediately. The last ship was an arsenal. Here I found a slingshot that shoots earth and the relic horse flute, as well as a zombie head, which I put on my head and started seeing the world as if someone turned off the contrast. There was also a skeleton head that made the world completely gray. These heads somehow didn't show up in the inventory. Finally, I finished with these airships and teleported home, where I inspected my loot and went to sleep. If you thought that after this I would calm down and finally start building the castle, you were wrong. I had wanted to return to the ship for a long time to see what interesting things were there. I didn't find a ladder up, so I started building a pillar, but first I killed a sea dragon. The first bandit I met died immediately. There were many different items in the chests. I broke some pots and got some shards, but I don't know what to do with them. Going a bit lower, I saw a whole army, but fortunately it was an army of idiots, and I killed them without any problems. There was a mage and a few more bandits. Later, I saw a spawner, which explained why there were so many mobs here. In one of the chests, I found 2 golden apples. Also, someone dropped a golden backpack that could hold many more items. In the most interesting chest, there was an enchanted golden apple, a diamond, and a smithing template. I was about to leave, but near the boat, some guys were waiting for me, and I shot them with my bow. Then another one ambushed me in the water and almost killed me. I wanted to sail to the next ship nearby, but a scary message appeared in the chat, so I decided to return home. And you know what? It was the worst night ever. I should have just stayed on the ship. I barely made it home, chased by a huge crowd of mobs, and managed to heal a bit and fix my broken bones. But what happened to the house and why I ended up underground, you'll see later. For now, I was fighting off 100-strong zombies, skeletons, and creepers far from home. The blood moon ended, and I survived this hell. I used up all my bandages and healing herbs, but even though morning came, I still had to kill a mini-army of mobs. So here's what happened to the house. Last night, I opened the door that was almost broken, and a creeper blew up the entire wall near the entrance, so I had to escape through a window and dig myself underground. Now it's totally unlivable here, time to move out, but first I sorted all the loot I gathered during the night, and I got a lot of stuff. Now I really want to head to that second ship. When I got close to the ship, a phantom attacked me, considered a boss. I killed it, and it dropped bags of coins and strange books. There were chests on the deck with good items like a warrior's chest plate. Some chests had cursed armor popping out when I tried to open them. I realized this was a trading ship, which probably explains the few bandits. In one of the chests, there was a photo of a zombie. I gave 2 fairies crossbows and went to sleep to recover. Before leaving the ship, I found one more room with a chest and a potion. I hadn't upgraded my skills in a long time, and after many battles with different enemies over the past days, I spent a few skill points in the skill tree. My boat got broken, and I had to fight off some aquatic idiots first, then I made another boat. On the way, my boat got broken again, so I had to swim without it. I reached another ship and wanted to make a new boat, but something unpleasant happened. I was almost killed, but somehow I managed to kill that idiot and continue my way home. I drank milk, slept, and started sorting the items I hadn't put away the day before. Finally, I decided to explore in the other direction to find a place for a base. Leveled up the relic Infinity Ham. On the way, I found a camp with 2 homeless guys and a chest that didn't have anything interesting. I reached the dragon spawn and tried to kill one with a bow, but it dodged, and it wasn't easy. Eventually, I killed the dragon, but it turned out to be a Naga, which didn't make me feel any better. I wanted to explore a tower, but 3 Nagas started chasing me. My curiosity was stronger than the fear of death, so I broke a wall on the other side. On the 2nd floor of the tower, there was a chest with junk, and on the 3rd floor, a trader I could trade with. I left the tower the same way and ran as far away as possible. Came across a house in the forest with bandits. On the 2nd floor were chests with decent stuff. Wanted to spend the night there, but I saw a glowing block. When I got closer, it was a mob spawner, which I destroyed, and under it was a chest with valuable items. In the morning, I continued my journey and found a camp of some Vikings helped by a phantom. There were many chests with interesting things. The coolest was the supply camp, an unusual weapon, elongated gold warglaive, a diamond chakram that could hit mobs up to 5 blocks away, a tendon lump, which I soon figured out what it was, a midnight robe, and a staff that could heal allies. A strange sound kept appearing nearby, like someone being whipped, and I couldn't figure out what it was. It turned out it was caused by the tendon lump relic. It periodically hits enemies near me. Saw a big cyclops and, of course, wanted to kill it, but only with a bow because I didn't know how much damage it would do. I still tried to kill it up close, but one grab nearly took all my health. I finally killed it, but unfortunately nothing dropped. Decided to sleep underground to wait out the night, but mobs bothered me a lot. I dug a bit deeper and lay down in bed. In the morning, I ran past a rabbit, and my tentacle decided to execute it. I found a small house in the forest. There were bandits inside, but at one point, a mini-boss zombie attacked me, and I completely stopped understanding anything. I gained many hearts, got poisoned, and who knows what else happened to me, but I killed it. On the 1st floor, I found a horse saddle. There was also a 2nd floor, and when I opened the hatch, I realized where all those hellish sounds coming from. There were dozens of bandits there. When I went further looking for adventure, I found a quite interesting place for a castle. It could be built on the edge of a cliff, and a beautiful bridge could be built over the ravine, but that's just theory for now. I reached a beautiful purple biome, but night is falling, and I'll have to dig in again to sleep. Found an interesting place, something like an oasis. I broke several pots and, except for a diamond, got an artifact shard from the excavation model. Also decided to brush some blocks, although I wasn't sure it would work. From the first soil, I got yellow glass, the second time yellow dye, and twice I got shards. I looked at the map and honestly don't know if I should stay here because it feels like the end of the world, emptiness, and nothing really interesting. So maybe I'll head in another direction. I found a well and quickly started climbing, the important part, because Nagas surrounded me. But that wasn't the worst. I spotted a giraffe, but behind it, I met a damn real dragon. It set me on fire, and I ran for a long time. But I realized something was wrong because I was burning for too long, so I decided to put out the fire in the river. It was very hot, and I was taking damage from bleeding. While I was looking where the dragon appeared from, it suddenly showed up right next to me. And of course, that idiot set me on fire again. I didn't know what to do. It kept endlessly setting me on fire and hitting so hard that most of my armor was broken. So I decided to dig underground and try to kill it with a bow from below. But my plan failed almost immediately. I didn't understand how to hit it at all. I couldn't even run away because whenever I tried to put out the fire in the river, it would ignite me again. Still, I managed to hide underground again, and I had some hope to kill it. But then something unexpected happened. All my limbs were broken, and I had only one heart left, which meant I had to wait for night and sleep to recover. In the morning, I cautiously started to go outside, but fortunately, the dragon flew away and seemed to hover in the air. Even though I had no armor, I decided to kill a sea serpent with a bow and got only one scale. I set a teleport point because I planned to return here and teleported home. Spent the whole day sorting items, going through the loot I gathered, and preparing for the next expedition. I tried to upgrade my backpack, but since I got it from mobs rather than crafting it myself, it couldn't be upgraded. I wanted to go to the Stone Hemispheres to see what was there. On the way, I found seals right on the Rocky Mountain. As usual, I wait out the night underground. When I approached the stone structures, I saw cyclopes and realized that this was their lair. I wanted to kill them, but I didn't have enough arrows for 2, so I tried to climb up and kill them like that. In the end, I managed to do it, although it took quite a lot of time. There was nothing interesting in the chests, but there were lots of gold nuggets scattered everywhere. And from one cyclops, I got its eye, which was considered a legendary weapon, but I'll check how it works later. I killed the second cyclops the same way, but nothing dropped from it. In the distance, I noticed another lair. This cyclops was hard to kill because it was below the ceiling, so I had to build blocks downwards. The lair had the same stuff as the previous ones. I found a sign that said something would be 500 blocks ahead, and I thought it was a village. On the way, I only found a bridge over a river, but no village. I ran for a long time, but there was nothing interesting. On my way, I came across a tower, and when I approached it, a raid began. I couldn't even imagine that this would count as a village just because of one person. I did a bit of trading with the tower's villager. I fought off the first wave without any major problems. In the second wave, a rat tamer showed up, sending his rats after me. The third wave brought a ravager, which could hit me through walls. I decided to craft a few bandages to heal my body. But the biggest problem was the witches. They kept poisoning me. On the fourth wave, I decided to make a hole in the wall to hit the raiders in the legs, but somehow I was still taking damage, even though it wasn't too difficult overall. The final wave was the hardest one. There were witches, rat tamers, and most importantly, an evoker appeared with his fairies, which hit incredibly hard. At one point, I almost died and had to craft even more bandages. The raid finally ended, and the most important thing I got out of it was a totem of undying. Moved on and found a bamboo forest, taking a few stalks with me. Spent the whole day running around the world looking for something interesting, but all I found was a fisherman's hut on the water, which didn't even have anything worth checking out. I got tired of these adventures and placed a waystone to teleport back home. I no longer had time to look for the perfect place for a castle, so I went back to the option I mentioned earlier, a castle on the edge of a cliff. I had no idea what exactly I was going to build. I only had a vague image in my head of what it might turn out to be, so I started outlining the shape of the castle. It turned out to be much harder than I expected, so by nightfall I hadn't even finished the framework. Everything was coming out kind of crooked. By the end of day 45, I had the framework almost finished, but for some reason, it wasn't symmetrical. I couldn't figure out where I had made a mistake in the calculations. Only the next day did I figure out where I had messed up, and I started fixing everything. I finally finished the framework of the house. There's going to be a tower in the middle, or rather, the main building, but I broke all of my pickaxes, so now I had to run to the teleport to get back to base. Decided to craft a diamond pickaxe since I had plenty of diamonds. Made it back to the castle and placed a waypoint at the entrance. Once everything is built, I'll move it. By the end of the day, I started working on the floor, but I ran out of bricks. I was planning to spend the night mining cobblestone, but I forgot to block off the entrance to my cave, and I had visitors. On the one hand, the creepers actually helped me a bit, but on the other hand, I had to run. There were just too many mobs, and of course, the undead army decided to show up. But all my bones were broken, so I just went to sleep. I fought off the army of idiots, but I got seriously injured even though the morning light was helping me out. I spent the whole previous night and this morning mining cobblestone and smelting it into stone. Then I cleared out the area for the future floor a bit. I started mixing brick blocks with regular cobblestone to save on materials and to make the castle look less perfect, because that just doesn't feel realistic. A bit later, I began adding a second layer to the walls so I could feel safer and get things done in the castle even at night. But I didn't manage to finish the wall. I first had to fight off mobs and then I just went to sleep. The next day, I built the outline of the second inner wall, which will eventually be 3 blocks thick. Then, I optimized the structure a bit by removing the blocks that weren't visible. I started building the floor in the area where there was a large hole that monsters could crawl through. I sealed myself inside the castle and felt safe, but it would soon become clear that I was wrong. A wandering trader showed up with an unusual selection of goods, or rather, just one item. While I was calmly building the second wall, something unpleasant happened. A creeper blew a hole in it, and monsters started pouring in, so I had to fight them off, and then just went to sleep. I recorded day 50 the next day, and when I logged into the game, I saw that the mod that changes mob models and animations had just broken, and I have no idea how to fix it. For now, I need to gather a lot of cobblestone. Night was approaching, and a message in the chat made it clear I wouldn't be getting any sleep that night. Somehow, a creeper managed to blow a hole in my wall again, and because of the mob crowd, I had to teleport back to my old base to recover my health. Of course, nothing could be that simple, and the damn event started with the arrival of the undead army. I saw a skeleton flying in the sky, which surprised me, but then it landed, and I killed it. I really didn't want to clear my castle of monsters, but they weren't going anywhere. I had to use bandages because I didn't want to risk going into battle with a broken head. Before the third wave started, I used the last bandage, and I have no idea where the wool went. Managed to kill the tank from a height without any problems. Surprisingly, I cleared all the waves without much risk to my life. I went to mine coal and accidentally fell into a cave, which I quickly left. Spent the whole night mining cobblestone, even broke my diamond pickaxe in the process, and finally needed to sleep to heal my body. I fixed the issue with mob textures. Turns out, some of my texture packs were simply disabled. The problem was that I never had all the textures enabled in the first place. So if you notice any visual changes, it means I turned on a new texture pack. At home, I crafted a new diamond pickaxe, finally finished the floor in the castle. I spent half the day restoring symmetry to the back part of the castle after those green idiots blew it up. The next thing I want to do is finish the wall, at least the outer one, and start building a tower. At night, I decided not to sleep and instead slowly continued working on the castle and smelting cobblestone. I also started thinking about building a storage room. I was planning to place the chests somewhere on the second floor, but I might have to change that plan. Returned to my old house to see if I could find anything interesting. Finished building a bit more of the wall, then I headed into the cave I had accidentally fallen into earlier to mine some coal. In the end, I gathered 2 stacks of coal. Hopefully that'll be enough for castle construction. I started working on the 4th layer of the outer wall. There might end up being 5 in total. Since it was nighttime, I decided to check the skill tree, and it turns out I only need 1 more level before I stop receiving skill points altogether. Once again, I changed my mind about the storage. I think I'll place it in a corner of the castle outdoors, but I still haven't figured out how to make it look nice. At the end of the night, I decided to go to sleep. It was time to finally get serious about the storage and sort out all my items. My main goal was to combine a large number of chests with an original and visually appealing storage design, which wasn't exactly easy in this situation. I spent the rest of the day working on the storage area, and I can say it's basically done now, though it's far from perfect. I spent the entire 55th day working on the storage area, constantly redoing it because something was always bothering me, and to be honest, it still does. I kept experimenting, and to put it mildly, it wasn't going great. The storage room was located in an uneven corner of the castle, and I had to figure out a way to round it out somehow. At the beginning of the night, I ran out of spruce wood, so in the morning I'd have to go out and gather a huge amount of it. Then phantoms attacked me. The hardest part was killing them during heavy lag, because if you look at the map, you'd see hundreds of mobs loading in and making my PC freak out. I dug through the chests in my old house for a bit. After 3 full days spent on the storage build, I ended up with something, and of course, I'm not satisfied. There's still a lot to fix before I even begin moving all my items in. I needed to gather a lot of spruce wood, and there were similar looking trees nearby, but it turned out to be redwood. On the map, I saw another forest that looked like spruce, but was actually a completely different kind of tree. It looked good too, so I collected some for the future. I decided to explore these strange structures and gather some stone to make bricks. Later, I found out there wasn't just one block of lava. There was a vertical shaft of lava going deep down. I dug down for a long time, but the lava never ended. Night came, and I decided to go to sleep. I'd find a way out in the morning. It turned out there was a spruce forest nearby. I kept gathering wood until my last axe broke. Nearby, there was a wagon with an important person inside, guarded by knights. In the chest, there were valuable resources. I killed the guards, and one emerald dropped from the person in the wagon. On the way, bears attacked me. I didn't even notice them at first, and of course I had to run away, but I won't forgive that. When I came back, I killed one bear, but I got badly hurt myself. So I decided not to risk killing the second one. Let it live, thinking that I killed a member of its family. At night, I kept working on the warehouse, and in the end, it turned out like this. But of course, the time will come when I try to improve it. I found a crafting recipe for a book that resets all skill points. I thought there wasn't one here. Morning was coming, and I didn't manage to get any sleep, so I'd have to spend the whole next day running around with a broken body. I started organizing my stuff, beginning with frames, or rather frameless frames. It turned out they don't work for regular items, only for blocks, but they look nice and interesting. Then I made glass frames, and that was exactly what I needed, though it required quite a lot of glass. I started sorting out armor, and it turned out I had quite a bit, although most of it was broken junk. The next chest was supposed to hold all the weapons, but when I started gathering them from all my chests and backpacks, I realized one chest wouldn't be enough. By the end of the day, I went to sleep to heal up. By the end of day 60, I had sorted out all the gems first and then the blocks and materials. On day 61, I took all the items out of the chests, and all that was left was to spread them out across the chests in the castle. By the end of the day, I was almost done with the sorting. The next day, a wandering trader came to me with a very interesting deal. I made a diamond chest plate and took some emeralds. Then I traded a regular chest plate and emeralds for a very good enchanted diamond chest plate. This deal seemed pretty good, and finally I did the most important thing that had been bothering me the entire playthrough. I organized all my stuff in chests. As a perfectionist, it was painful and unpleasant to just dump everything into those chests, creating chaos. In the future, I'll tweak the categories of items in the chests a bit more, but for now, I need to finish the castle. I spent that night digging up dirt, which I'll need in huge amounts to fill in the space under the castle. I filled in some of the space under the castle, but I ran out of dirt. It was time to work on the walls, and the hardest part was coming up with a cool design while considering all the factors. At night, I went out again to gather more dirt. When I surfaced, an apocalypse had formed around me. There were so many monsters that I couldn't even understand what was happening because of the lag. But in the end, I managed to run to the portal and get out of there. In the morning, I finally finished filling in the space under the castle, and then continued experimenting with the wall design. By the end of the day, I came up with something strange. Of course, I didn't like it, but it was much better than before. At night, I went to mine cobblestone, and at the end, I killed a few mobs. I spent a lot of time on these walls, but finally I achieved something acceptable. All the walls will be built in this design, but to do that, I'll have to redo the old wall a bit, and it's going to require a lot of resources. In short, the walls will take a lot of time. This is roughly how it will look from above. A blood moon rose, which means I won't be sleeping tonight. I decorated the floor in the castle a little, then started killing all the guests near the entrance. I decided to open the skill tree, and when I spent my last skill point, a new, big skill tree unlocked. At the end of the night, some guests decided to come by, and that really pissed me off because I'm already spending so much time building the castle and not getting anything done, and now they're bothering me too. I seem to have defeated all the mobs around, but the first wave didn't end. Anyway, I had bigger problems, specifically getting water, because I only had one bottle left. After getting some water, I returned to the castle, but the problem remained. The wave was still going on, and there was no one around. I decided to just ignore it and kept building. Meanwhile, a guy showed up behind me selling a cannon and its cannonballs. I bought some of the dangerous stuff. When I tried to test the cannon, I realized it wasn't so simple here, so I put that on hold. I built 2 more sections of the wall to make it symmetrical and started working on the gates. After a while, I made a sort of entrance so that only I could decide who gets in. By the start of the next night, I finished the gates. They look unusual, of course, but not very original, so I'm not really satisfied. But for now, they'll do. At night, I was busy with various unimportant tasks. At the end of the night, I wanted to go to sleep, but somehow a creeper blew up the entrance. I'm even curious who provoked it to explode, but I managed to close up and go to bed. A wandering trader showed up. He was selling Eyes of Ender and some kind of letter. I bought both. Another trader offered grass slabs, so I grabbed those too. I spent a long time trying to open the letter, poking and rotating it every way I could, but nothing happened. Turned out the letter had to be eaten to open it. Inside was an offer to trade emeralds for TNT, but I had no idea how to actually complete the deal. During the day, I worked on decorating the wall, though honestly, it was more of a full rebuild because the changes were massive. And when night fell, I always found something to do inside the castle, and there was no shortage of work there either. Morning came again, and I continued rebuilding the wall. At night, I finished building the forge, which has an automatic furnace, an anvil, and other important workstations. And of course, I didn't forget to add decorations. In the end, I ran out of stone bricks, and I still need a lot more. At night, I teleported to a place I had explored earlier and found my fairy there, the one I thought was dead, but wasn't. I spent the whole night mining cobblestone and searching for coal. In the end, I sent everything to smelt and thought about what I could do next. While the cobblestone was smelting, I sorted items into chests. I replaced the gold blocks in the walls with polished diorite because it looks better and is cheaper. At night, I didn't just sit idle either, but flying skeletons kept bothering me. In the end, I just went to sleep. At one point, I completely ran out of spruce, and since it was daytime outside, I had to go gather more. I don't know how much more wood I'll need, but I managed to collect 2 stacks. At night, I tried building again, but first, this happened. Then, a few minutes later, there was another explosion and I lost my nerves, so I just went to sleep. In the morning, I fixed all the aftermath of the night raid. Closer to night, I finally finished the outer wall completely, then tried to come up with a design for the inner walls, but realized it's better to build all the rooms first, like the enchantment table, before building the walls inside. While it was night, I moved the weapons and armor into other chests because there was no space in the previous ones. During the day, I placed lanterns on the outer walls and also made a border around the castle using stairs instead of regular blocks. When night came, I started digging a tunnel downward. I needed to find coal, but most importantly, to reach the deep biome to gather cobbled deep slate. Why? You'll find out later. While mining the needed resource, I broke another diamond pickaxe. After collecting enough blocks, I began my way back up. I managed to get home before sunrise and wanted to sleep, but forgot that the blood moon event was happening. I needed cobbled deep slate to make bookshelves, which allow enchanting items up to level 80, a level I don't even have, by the way. I started making a room for enchanting items, and at first I wanted to put it in a corner. Then I moved it to the center of one of the walls. The problem was that the mod pack I'm using has a modification that complicates, and thus expands, the enchanting mechanics in Minecraft. Now I can enchant items up to a maximum level of 100, but it's not that simple. I need to make special bookshelves and keep track of other parameters. In short, it's so complicated that I still haven't figured it all out. Even those black bookshelves, which are supposed to allow enchanting up to level 80, don't work. But for now, my main focus is finishing the castle and designing all the rooms I need. By the end of the day, I made something that looked nice to me, but it still needs improvement. First, I'll need to gather obsidian. Since my last time playing, I don't really remember what I did, but first I had to fend off some mobs. Then I finally decided to start building the main castle tower, because basically everything else is either finished or will have to be rebuilt after the tower is done. I don't even remember what my original idea for the tower was, but it's turning out pretty good so far. For the first time, I started using vertical slabs, and it turns out they're pretty cool because they add relief to the building. At the beginning of the night, I already had a nice entrance. Then I added lighting, though it looks a bit off. Maybe I'll redo it later. By the end of the day, the tower looked something like this. I'll need to think carefully about how it will look from the top, since there's not much time left before the challenge ends, so I need to finish the base quickly. The morning didn't start with coffee, but with killing idiots. Today, I wanted to finish the wall, so for now, I put the tower work on hold. When night came, I went to the mine to gather some cobblestone, which I hope won't be needed in huge amounts. I dug my way to the teleport and returned to the base, where I immediately put all the blocks into the furnaces for smelting. In the morning, I was hit by thirst and had no water, so I urgently needed to deal with that. I spent a long time thinking about how to build the part of the tower that goes near the storage, and in the end, I made a small lookout platform. Maybe later, there will be something more interesting here. Now I decided to continue building the tower, but the main thing left is to make stairs to climb up to the walls. When I went to get stone, I found out that the furnaces ran out of coal, and there was none left in the storage either. In the evening, winter came, and I'm not really liking it. Later, I started regretting not building some kind of house, because now my whole castle is covered in snow. I also built stairs to the second floor in the tower. Hoping that the snowfall would stop by morning, I went to sleep. In the morning, I saw the snowfall again. While it was still daytime outside, I went to gather spruce. I'm going to need a lot of it. At one point, I started freezing, and it really bothered me because I'm not prepared for winter at all. Back at the base, I continued building the tower, but I ran out of bricks, which means I'll have to go mining for coal. During the night, I wanted to start digging a mine, but even for that, I needed stone bricks. In the meantime, I decided to kill some mobs. It was so cold that even torches didn't save me, which means I need to find a way to keep warm. I could make warm threads to sew into clothes, but first, I don't fully understand how to do that, and second, I don't have the right plant. Later, I realized I was looking at the wrong threads because warm threads actually give immunity to heat, though I'm still not sure about that. I found armor that gives me immunity to cold, but it was leather, and running around constantly in it is dangerous. In the morning, I went searching for mines to get coal, but it was a bit unsafe. I found an abandoned underground camp with chests containing a diamond pickaxe and other resources. I returned home and started smelting cobblestone. After sorting my stuff, I took some stone and went to build the tower, beginning with adding a balcony. By the end of the day, I finished the stairs up to the third floor of the tower, though of course, it still needs to be completed. I started working on finishing the tower at the top. I also added another balcony, which opened up a stunning view of the world around me. At night, phantoms showed up, a not-so-gentle reminder that I hadn't slept in quite a while. I wasn't sure how to make the top of the tower look good, so I spent a lot of time experimenting with different designs. It was finally time to get some sleep. In the morning, I mined a bit of cobblestone in my quarry, then I placed lanterns on the first and second floors of the tower. At night, another blizzard began, so I had to put on a full set of leather armor to avoid freezing. A bit later, I finished the overall look of the third floor and used up all my stone bricks. Next, I'll need to figure out how to do the roof, though I have no idea what design to go with yet. That night, I went out to mine more cobblestone. Hopefully, it's the last trip. I started building the tower roof, but the spruce wood I had wasn't nearly enough, so I'll have to go chop down a forest later. But for now, night had fallen, and it's better not to go outside, so I decided to build staircases onto the walls in the meantime. The next day, I finished building the 2 symmetrical staircases. They turned out to be pretty simple, but honestly, it was about time I wrapped up construction. I noticed I was out of water and had to refill from a swamp. When I checked the time, I remembered I was supposed to go chop spruce wood during the day, but I had gotten too caught up in building. So now I needed to hurry and gather at least some. A blood moon began, but I wasn't in the mood for it at all. At one point, there were so many monsters that I couldn't even build properly due to the low FPS, so I just reset the zone by teleporting away and then back again. I was already wrapping up the roof frame, and it looked like I'd be finishing everything soon. Started the day by finishing up the tower's roof. Once again, I went into the forest to chop down some trees. Soon there won't be a single spruce left around here. Killed a few mobs near the castle. Almost finished the inside part of the roof. Just need to add some lighting. Also changed a few elements inside the tower. Spent the whole day thinking about how to improve the outside of the tower. By the end of the day, I finished everything I planned, but then phantoms showed up. A good reason to go to sleep. Near the castle, a merchant was wandering around with a good offer, which gave me another powerful piece of armor. Then, I started finishing the last parts of the castle's construction and decorated the inner walls a bit. At night, I began replacing the torch lighting with beautiful lanterns. The next day, I put on my armor and ran off to find a cave to mine coal and cobblestone, since I had run out of both. I found a flooded cave, and my armor allowed me to swim a bit and gather some coal. Nearby the surface, I discovered a treasure room. When I opened the chest, a ghost appeared. After that, I spent almost the entire day mining cobblestone, and upon returning home, I set everything to smelt. By the end of the day, I finally finished the lighting, and now everything looked much cozier. Just a little more to go, and the castle will be complete. I placed a bed and a few items to somewhat furnish my room, although calling it a proper room on the tower's roof without walls is a stretch, but I'll only be coming here to sleep anyway. Then I spent half the day building a shaft or sewer system in the castle. I didn't bother decorating much since it felt like a pointless waste of resources, but once I started, I had to finish it. The next day, I started by killing a mini-boss beneath the castle. You could say the castle is almost finished and it looks cool, though it's still far from what I originally envisioned. I spent the rest of the day decorating the interior walls and some other parts of the castle. I had to go to sleep because phantoms attacked me last night. Building the castle dragged on so long that I completely forgot what I was even doing here, especially since filming this video also took way longer than expected. I had planned to do much more. At least I started building the castle on the edge of a cliff to make a beautiful bridge to the other side, but that's going to take up the last few days of my survival. Honestly, I didn't expect to spend half the challenge building a castle I'd barely even appear in, but finishing it became a matter of principle. We have 10 days left, and I just want to run around the world and look for adventures to take a break from endless building. I teleported to the flying ships to grab some items for decorating the castle. Back home, I placed pots and barrels randomly to make the place look less plain. Since I'm heading out into the open world, I need to make a few medical kits for body parts. I was looking for adventure and found it. A flying serpent attacked me. I killed it, and nearby was a chest with good resources. I found a beautiful fairy biome, but it was small. At night, I decided not to sleep, but to try surviving in the open world. It felt like a game of tag because enemies were endless, and I was alone. Fighting made no sense. I found the Cyclops' lair, which seemed to be waiting for me, but going there at night was too dangerous. Suddenly, an invasion of the undead began, so I quickly placed a portal and returned home. Fighting them in the open was way too hard. I returned to the old house and picked up a waypoint. Then I grabbed another one near the place where I was gathering spruce, went back to the castle, which I hadn't visited in a while, and found a villager there who could sell some cool diamond boots. I quickly placed a portal and grabbed diamonds and emeralds from home. In the end, I bought another piece of good armor. When I tried to enter the castle, I met an old friend stuck on a pillow. Of course, I took him with me. There wasn't much new in the castle. I had opened most of the chests last time I was here. Finally, I found a waypoint and activated it, returned home, and sorted all the items into chests. During my search for adventure, I came across a strong enemy, whom I killed, and from him dropped some useful resources. I wanted to explore a snowy biome, but that was a mistake. My clothes clearly weren't ready for such a challenge. I saw a cabin in the forest. It was a witch's house, but only a cat lived there, and there wasn't much treasure, just 2 chests and some food. On the way, I saw a dragon's nest and was glad the dragon wasn't there. But my joy didn't last long. I decided not to run away, but to kill it, yet at one point, while shooting it with my bow, something strange happened. Either the dragon grabbed me in its jaws, though I didn't take damage, or somehow I ended up on it. In any case, I wanted to get away quickly. I wondered why the dragon just chased me instead of breathing fire, but then it finally realized its mistake. I reacted in time, and when I turned around to see where the dragon was, it turned out the dragon had died, most likely from bleeding. From the dragon, I got its heart, bones, head, and scales. There wasn't much in the chests. I thought there would be rare treasures, but no. I also took all the gold that was there. At night, I wanted to sleep, but a phantom had other plans. Still later, I managed to sleep peacefully until morning. Near the dragon, there was some kind of structure with a long staircase leading downwards. The place looked beautiful, but it wasn't clear yet what to expect. There were just small rooms with almost nothing inside. I freed some fairies from a prison and gave them weapons, but they disappeared somewhere afterward anyway. There was also a sapling here, and a seed dropped from it. I wanted to get out of here, but on the map, I saw a group of enemies I wanted to reach. Then this happened. I decided to explore the cave looking for lava, but it was full of dead ends. While wandering, I found some lava and poured water over it. I wanted to mine some obsidian, but mobs kept bothering me, so I needed to sleep. While I was checking what else I could make from obsidian, a creeper almost blew me up. I I saw some abandoned ruins. On the surface, there was nothing except a chest and a book warning never to go down. But who cares about that? There was a mine shaft, of course. I jumped in and was immediately met by two skeletons who ended up killing each other. There was a room with a spawner, which I destroyed, and some chests. In one, I found an interesting dagger that I tested right away, and it seemed pretty good. In another chest were resources and 2 diamond shovels. The main problem here wasn't just the monsters themselves, but their number, which caused my FPS to drop so badly that dying without a fight became quite easy. Skeletons almost killed me. Surprisingly, they dealt a lot of damage despite my strong armor. Then I started killing hordes of monsters, but because of the spawners, their numbers only grew. So I decided to set up a portal home to reload the area and sleep to restore health. Before going back into that hell, I repaired my diamond chakram that had saved me many times, though making a new one might have been cheaper. To get into one room, I had to carefully break spawners through the walls. Skeletons kept trying to knock me down. Couldn't get into the next room because of the mob horde, so I tried sneaking through above, which was dangerous, and I almost died. When I came out the other side, a big group of zombies attacked me. It turned out to be a main hall with a throne, or something like it. I found an alchemist's room. The chests there held nothing but books. I had to reload the area again because my performance had dropped so much I could barely move. I fiddled with some valves, but didn't understand their purpose. There was a passage leading further down to sewage tunnels. Not much there except some chests and beautiful crystals needed for crafting. Then I found a locked passage with a spawner and many mobs. I tried sneaking up on the spawner for a long time, but ended up just killing everyone and running straight to it. There were more spawners, which I destroyed, and then I opened a chest with resources and armor. I thought this was finally the end, but I found a room with some guy in it, so I decided it was better to sleep first before meeting him. I shot at the creature, and it disappeared. Later, it turned out they were mannequins. There was also a turtle and several chests here. Under a trapdoor, there was an entrance to a cave. I started digging toward it and met a strange trader who was offering good deals. I found a storage room full of chests, and when I opened one, something hissed. I thought it was a creeper, but it was TNT placed under the chest. The cave was large and beautiful, but there wasn't much to do here. It was time to get out through the hole where I had recently fallen. I immediately placed a portal and returned home. No more time for traveling. I started sorting my things into chests, but there were so many that I only finished near the end of the day. I wanted to fill my flasks with water, but a siren decided to change my plans, though she wasn't the main problem because giant snakes were swimming around and they could easily kill me. I managed to kill the first one, but then there was a big chance this challenge would end for me. Luckily, I killed the second snake too, which had cornered me. The siren either disappeared or I killed her. I don't know because I didn't see anything. My screen was red and the siren's image kept annoying me. I returned home, but that stupid siren stayed in my head, so I had to reload the game. I made a full set of dragon scale armor, though I think diamond armor is better. Then I crafted the Tide Trident and my favorite weapon, the Diamond Great Hammer. I also made an enchanting table and enchanted all my armor, weapons, and tools, becoming much stronger. Finally, I made a portal to the Nether in my sewage system and went through it right away. The first thing I saw was the beauty of this world, thanks to mods and shaders. I immediately tested my hammer. It's perfect. I love weapons like this in different games. High damage is the key. Attack speed is secondary. I decided to attack a mob, but it turned out to be ranged. I dug a tunnel and killed it calmly. I stepped aside and suddenly felt very hot, taking damage. Looks like it's not my fate to explore this place. I tried to kill the pigman boss and managed to do it without problems. Then I went in another direction, but it was very hot there too. So exploring the Nether wasn't meant to be. Fought a bit more with mummies. Now it was time to leave this place and enjoy my last day in this world. But a surprise awaited me at the exit. I tested my hammer once again, and I regret not making it earlier. Its biggest downside is its size. It covers half the screen and I can barely see anything because of it. For the last bit of time, I decided to explore this beautiful, wonderful, and also very dangerous world, since there was no point in setting any more goals for the day. I found a bandit camp and freed some guy, but he didn't tell me anything interesting. Also discovered a small house with flowers, though no one was there. As night approached, I was about to teleport home, but suddenly spotted an ice dragon. I thought, since it's the last day and I have nothing nothing to lose. Why not try to call the dragon with my hammer and see how it goes? To my great surprise, I managed to kill the dragon. Let's just say it was the Ender Dragon and I've beaten the game. That's a good place to end. Running around the castle, I wonder what to say as my final words and how to sum it all up. This video took me almost half a year to record. I kept running into problems. Sometimes my monitor would break, sometimes I didn't have time, and other times I just didn't feel like getting back into the game and figuring everything out from scratch. The biggest downside of these 100 days is that I spent half of them building the castle. Almost nothing went according to plan. I wanted to run around the world a bit, find a good spot for my base, and then build a simple house in a couple of days so I could explore and show you as much content from this mod pack as possible. That was the whole point, but somehow I ended up spending a long time searching for the base location, and then I took on a project that shouldn't have taken more than 20 days, but in the end, I spent more time building than exploring the world. Anyway, I really like what I made. I enjoy building, but not so much when I only have 100 days to discover such a huge world. Other than that, I'm happy. I had a blast with this world and all the mods in this pack. I think that's enough talking. I wish you all good luck, and with that, we'll say goodbye.